So these guys have all told me they promised they won't tell anyone. I was going to ask you how the food is here.
Well,
Complain about it. They said they promised they won't.
it ain't so bad.
No?
Not really, no. It's prison food, though, you know. There's a big difference between that and McDonald's.
And the Cajun food? You don't get Cajun here?
No, I don't get any Cajun here. Miss Bellick, my lawyers advised me not to make any, answer any questions, but I have about a 3-minute statement prepared. Would you like to listen to that?
Sure, sure. You can go ahead and read it now if you'd like. I figured there was something you wanted to say.
Yes, ma'am. At this time, I feel it necessary to comment on the blatant statements Mr. James H. Williams has made concerning Sondra London, Bobby Lewis, prison authorities, and myself. I'm compelled to bring this matter into the light because Williams has caused undue pain and problems for those mentioned, and on his own tried to muddy the waters and hinder the investigation in progress. Number one, Miss London and myself have been corresponding for almost a year now. Regardless of what Williams has said, Miss London is of the highest caliber, sincere and honest, a woman of extraordinary talents. If I were her, I would sue Williams for slander and defamation of character. She did not deserve the things he said or what the Gainesville Sun printed about her. It's just not so. I do not know Williams' reason to do such a vicious thing. It was totally unmerited or called for. I think Williams has left himself subject to be charged with criminal mischief and or obstruction of justice. Number two, Sondra London is a colorful and bright woman, intelligent, talented, and it's a shame the way the media has bashed her as of late. She hasn't done anything to deserve that. Sondra is a worthy soul who only tries to bring the very best out of all she does. Number three, Sondra London did not seek me out. I inquired her services because I had seen some of her work, namely a screenplay under the title of Redbone about the dramatic story of Bobby Lewis's escape from death row, which would impress anyone. And so I wanted her to do my story. Sondra London is not, I repeat, not using me, period. No one is using me. I don't care what her previous lawyer, Chet Dillinger, said about her. Can you imagine that? Her own lawyer sold her up the river. If I was a client of his, I think I'd find somebody else to represent me for fear that one day Chet Dillinger would have something publicly to say about me. Over the past 180 days, Sondra and myself have tried by protocol and through proper channels to get her approved to visit me. And she was allowed to visit me behind the glass once. Number five, any and all parties involved in the investigation underway concerning the Gainesville murders have been and will be dealt with in an honorable fashion. The wheels of justice may turn slow, but they do turn. You don't ask of justice, it asks of you. Number six, the prison officials here at FSP have not made any deals with me, period. Nor have they made any promises to Bobby Lewis or myself, period. I have not been coerced into making any statements, period. Number seven, Miss London represents me as editor, agent, and media go-between. From this point on, I shall make no further statements to the press unless Sondra London arranges it. If you wish to speak to me, speak to Miss London. Number eight, any further statements you wish at this time, please consult my lawyers, Mr. Richard Parker or Johnny Kearns, who are excellent lawyers for the defense and very capable of answering any other questions. I have nothing further to say. Thank you and good day.
That's it? You can't answer any questions for me?
No, ma'am, I'm sorry.
Is it true that you are talking through Mr. Lewis to investigators?
I can't make any further comments. Good day.
Is it true that you had anything to do with the murders at all?
Your Honor, I would first like to thank you for the opportunity to speak in behalf of my son, Danny. And I would also like to, this is hard, tell the survivors of the victims that although I have not said anything My heart's been with them. And I pray for them. And I hope that with the closure of this case, they'll find some closure in their lives and be able to go on with it. 39 years ago, almost 40 now, the Lord gave me a miracle. I named him Danny. When I held this little baby in my arms, I had no idea, no thought that he would be anything except a doctor or a lawyer, president, anything big and wonderful. I watched him grow. And at a very young age, I saw changes in my son that I ignored. Changes that ultimately brought about the horror that we've gone through in the last 2 or 3 years. I'm not asking for freedom for my son, but I beg for his life. I cannot imagine that taking one life will bring others back. And I want my son to live. I don't see him as other people see him. I see him as the child that I raised. A loving, gentle, kind little boy that grew into a young man in body alone. Danny never really went past the age of 15. He stayed a child. And I know that there would be people that would say he deserves it. That could very well be true. But I'm a mother, and I love him, and I don't want him to hurt anymore, because he's hurt all of his life. I felt his pain from day one. It would be so deep in his eyes you could swim in it. And he tried to carry it and bear it on his own. I've heard for a long time that children are products of their environment. And if this is the case, and I believe it is, then take me, because I would be the responsible one. I'm the one that was with him, that raised him. I'm the one that had to have failed him somewhere. When my boys grew up, they grew up with a mother that was weak. I was never taught to face things. I was raised by very loving parents who took care of things for me. My boys took my mother and father's place, and they took care of things for me. They protected me when I should have protected them. And I think this is where I failed them the most. But once again, I say, Your Honor, if it's possible, find mercy and save my son's life. Thank you.
Yes, sir. There's much I'd like to say, Your Honor, about our world, my beliefs, and the destiny of man. However, I feel whatever I might have to say at this moment is overshadowed by the suffering I've caused. I regret with all my heart what my hand has done, for I have taken what I cannot return. If only I could bend back the hands on that ageless clock and change the past. Ah, but alas, I am not the keeper of time, only a small part of history and the legacy of mankind's fall from grace. I'm sorry, Your Honor.